Tonight, we're digging into the absolute chaos of a plane crash at New York's LaGuardia Airport. We're going to piece together what happened on the ground and, more importantly, talk about the incredible stories of heroism that came out of all that wreckage. So, to really get what was going on, you have to try and put yourself right there on that tarmac. Imagine this. You've just survived a crash landing, you're scrambling to get to safety, and then the plane starts doing something impossible. One passenger said it all. "I wasn't sure what was happening, but the plane started going up. I didn't understand." That feeling of complete disbelief, of not understanding what you're seeing, that pretty much defined the moment for so many people. So let's break down exactly what was happening on that tarmac, where that initial shock turned into this totally bizarre, unfolding crisis. Now, here's something you might not realize from the later photos. Right after the crash, the plane was actually lying flat. You can see it in the early pictures from the scene. It's horizontal, just resting on the ground, even with the horrific damage. I mean, its cockpit was completely sheared off. And this is where that passenger's confusion makes total sense. Let's walk through what happened step by step. First, the plane is stable, it's flat, and passengers are desperately trying to get out. Then as more and more people escape and slide down off the wing, all that weight starts shifting the plane's center of gravity. And then, this is the wild part, that weight shift causes the entire plane to just tilt up dramatically with its nose pointing right at the sky. No machine, just pure physics. But this wasn't just a story about physics and twisted metal. A human story was already starting to emerge. Even while all this chaos was happening, people were asking, in the middle of all this destruction, who were these pilots that people were already calling heroes? And that brings us to one of the pilots. His story takes us so far away from the noise and panic in New York, all the way from a small-town coffee shop to international headlines. Tragically, one of the pilots, Kenzie Gunther, died in the crash. And while the disaster was in New York, the heartbreak was felt hundreds of miles away. See, Kenzie was a regular at this little coffee shop in Peterborough, Ontario. He used to pop in all the time, back when he was in flight school nearby. The coffee shop owner, Daniel Barreau, he heard the news and immediately reached out to Kenzie, because he knew Kenzie flew that exact route from Montreal to New York. And ever since he found out Kenzie was in the cockpit, he's just been shaken. His words really hit home. He said, "It's important to honor people. His life ended too soon, and his family deserves to know that we cared about him." And it wasn't just the local community feeling this loss. That personal grief was mirrored by official recognition. Even the Prime Minister came out and praised the pilots, saying their incredibly quick thinking to slow the plane down might have been the one thing that prevented an even worse tragedy. So you have these powerful stories of personal loss and heroism, and then, the focus has to shift. It becomes about the big questions, which brings us to the massive international investigation, trying to figure out exactly how this could have happened. Now, because this was an international flight, it's not as simple as one agency taking over. It's a real team effort. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, they're the ones leading the charge. But their Canadian counterparts, the Transportation Safety Board of Canada, they have a full team on the ground working right alongside them, giving their full cooperation. And their mission, it's crystal clear. The whole point of this joint effort is for them to work as closely as humanly possible with their American colleagues to find the definitive cause of this crash. No stone unturned. Okay, so the investigation, that's the long-term puzzle. But what about the immediate aftermath? What's happening right now for the people involved? That's all about recovery and taking care of everyone who is affected. So what happens next? Well, first off, the NTSB has officially released the aircraft from the scene. That means Air Canada's own maintenance crews, who are already there, can finally move the plane into a hangar. And once it's there, a special team comes in to start the really sensitive job of getting people's personal belongings back to them. And it is so important to remember that for many people, this is far from over. As of right now, 4 people from that flight are still in the hospital. The human cost here and the long road to recovery, it's still very, very real. This whole story just shows that when something terrible like this happens, the questions go so much deeper than just the technical stuff. It really leaves you with a final thought to chew on. When a tragedy strikes, how do we balance piecing together what happened with taking the time to truly remember who we lost?